Hey everybody, how's it going? We're here with a timeless reading. Welcome. All right, first cards that we have out, I'm seeing Hermit, I'm seeing Justice, I'm seeing Nine of Pentacles. Hermit shows you being in a period right now of reflection, maybe pulling back, you could be relaxing, focusing on something. This is giving you time where Hermit is like pulling back from all of the chaos and hustle and bustle and the things that can distract us from really paying attention to what we want to pay attention to. Having Justice here, it feels like reestablishing maybe a state of balance in order for you to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. I'm seeing Nine of Pentacles. So this can be you getting back to something or even now developing something. You could have felt like something was not aligned in a balanced way. Like you could have been doing something and feeling like you were leaning maybe too far into one side of something and wanting to get to a space of establishing equilibrium. Because maybe you felt like you were getting away from being able to enjoy certain things. So it feels like this is about like enjoyment, and also Nine of Pentacles is like enjoying what you've worked for or what you have, what you've developed, what's around you, what you have access to. Can also be about independence as well, like you doing things on your own, you believing in yourself. But yeah, maybe you felt like things were out of balance before in a way that you weren't able to connect with the things that you were wanting to connect to. Wheel of Fortune, Six of Pentacles. Wheel of Fortune speaks about things like shifting and changing and sort of like the destined route of things, how stuff is unfolding. I'm seeing Six of Pentacles. To have Justice and also Six of Pentacles, it feels like this is again about balance. Like, what am I giving to myself? What am I giving to those around me? What am I giving to myself? What am I giving to my relationships? Like, how am I showing up with my responsibilities to like other people or other things, or like my finances, or taking care of that person or that animal, versus like how am I taking care of myself? You know, it can be this whole thing about wanting to break things down in a way that feels more balanced, like there's more of a semblance of balance that maybe had been lacking before. So you feel like you can show up with what you want to show up with. Feels like this is allowing for more reciprocity, maybe in a way that, again, you felt like was lacking before. Lacking, missing. I'm seeing a tool. I'm seeing a tool that has, it has like a particular type of handle. It looks like something crafted. In some way. Like, you know how you can have like handles of things and it can be carved out of like bone or something that looks like a shell. It's like that type of thing. Has to do with like a handle. That can also be like metaphorically something that's happening as well. The care that you're putting in. I keep seeing the Tower. Feels significant. You can feel that something here is looming. So where are you moving? You're moving, you're making progress. It may be feeling difficult right now for you though, but I'm seeing that you definitely got it. There's a lot here about listening to how you're feeling, giving life to that, noticing it. Okay. Stuff socially, stuff about relationships. This looks like what the reciprocity is connected with. To have Hermit, it can be like, I need some alone time. Like, I feel more introverted right now. I want to think about things. I want to do stuff that feels restorative for me. I want to create a space that feels calm and that feels safe in order for me to regain a sense of balance or develop a sense of balance. I'm seeing this thing again. It reminds me of like a handle of something, but that's like hand carved in some way. It's like a particular type of design. Like the handle of some type of tool. Maybe there's something about, I think like customization when I think about that. It seems like if you continued going on how you were before and you didn't do this pulling back to reflect and take some time to yourself, because it's like I need it to be quiet enough for me to hear my thoughts here. And when you get to that space where you feel quiet enough, it's sort of like the balance reveals itself to you. So you don't have to go searching for it. You just need to get quiet enough to really tune in and listen to it. And in that space, I'm seeing you be like, I really like the way that this feels. I'm really enjoying this, that things feel balanced rather than lacking harmony. And it feels like it shifts things in a way that feels more reciprocal to you, which you could have felt like that was lacking before. I will say this too with the Hermit, this is like you needing to do your own stuff and be in charge of what you're doing. Because sometimes when we connect with the Six of Pentacles, it can be more so like wanting to control, judge, determine, manipulate things that other people are doing. And then feel a lack of reciprocity because of that, but it's really what we need to be doing for ourselves. Because when we feel like we're showing up the way that we need to, then we are in a state of reciprocity and acceptance. So before you could have been like looking outwardly, and now taking this look inwardly, Hermit, is sort of just concerning yourself with yourself and your own business and what you have going on. And creating that sense of internal harmony and balance, one that you feel like you get to enjoy, which then I'm seeing for some of you, you're now seeing this be reflected in your relationships, but it was something that you needed to develop internally. Because you could have been like looking at situations and being like, this feels like there's a lack of reciprocity, but it was because you needed to establish it internally to see it reflected. And you could have been trying to do something externally, but it wasn't really getting to the root. And so you needed to go within in order to do this. I'm seeing you making a lot of progress here. I am seeing strength though. So this can feel like I'm moving, but it's feeling difficult to move like this. It's feeling difficult to move this, like it can be move this fast or move in this direction. And I'm seeing Four of Pentacles, and I'm also seeing Three of Cups. So this may be being less controlling in a social setting. It can be like over your friends or over your relationships or over things when it comes to you just socializing in general. But some of you have a tendency to grip things too tightly or to want to manipulate things, even if you're like, I think that this is helping, or like it's creating the stability that I want in my life. This is about releasing actually. In a way, so you're not squeezing the life out of stuff, you know? It's like you like certain things so much, or like, I'm really having such a good time, I don't want this to end, and you squeeze the life out of things. So it's kind of like you have autonomous energies even that you interact with, and when we become too like forceful with them, we're not allowing it to function in the way that it's meant to. Like we take the autonomy away and then suffer because of it. So it feels like this is also creating more of a sense of reciprocity within your social relationships too. Because it feels like you're holding on to the things that are important for you, that you're establishing independently within your own life. And that is also, because you're like taking care of your stuff at home, so to speak, there's also this sense of then reflected in your relationships. There's like a change that's happening socially for you, and you feel like your relationships are becoming more reciprocal, more reciprocated. But it's because you're taking care of your own stuff. Because before you may have been like not taking care of your own stuff at home and then squeezing too tightly on your social relationships, and maybe even using that to bypass and being like, I need this to meet my needs, I need this to meet my needs, I need this to meet my needs, instead of like meeting your own needs. So it feels like that's also happening too, as well. I just get like four of Pentacles and Three of Cups. Just it feels like being too micromanagey, and it feels like clinging too tightly with your relationships, and like not allowing them to breathe, you know, or like move in the direction that they're meant to. And we have like all our different reasons, right, for doing that. Like, I like this, I don't want to lose it, like this is how I show I care, you know, all of the ways that we show up when we're just like squeezing something really tightly because we don't want it to leave us or whatever. But actually, it may feel a little bit, I don't want to say counterintuitive, but it feels like counter impulse maybe a little bit. It's you recognizing like your nature versus your willpower, that you have a tendency to squeeze sometimes your social relationships too tightly and become too like, it should go like this, it should go like this, like whatever these rules are that you make, or however it is that you enter into it, where it feels like there's a lack of allowing. And in that sort of receding and reflecting in, I'm seeing then you're like, wow, things are feeling like there's a sense of flow again. But you know, when we don't want something to leave and so we're like pulling it towards us, and then there's a resistance, this is like, okay, loosening my grip and sort of allowing things to be. And then you feel like that allows this like natural state of harmony to happen. And this feels again like it's connected socially for you in some way. Where before you may have felt like maybe during when you were hanging out with a certain person, things felt like it lacked reciprocity. Or when you were spending time with someone or like your friends, something was lacking reciprocity. Or it can be with a particular friendship or a particular relationship, or it can be in general. But stuff having to do with like you interacting with another person or interacting with other people. It feels too like maybe your more casual relationships as well, or like your social relationships in general, because this doesn't feel like necessarily doing it. I mean, it can be, it feels like with like somebody or people that you spent time with, but you may have, it may not have been like only one relationship that you were doing this with. It can be multiple relationships, like friendships and stuff even. I'm seeing Libra and I'm seeing Leo. Yeah, something was feeling taxing here. Could have felt like you were overdoing something. This can be like giving too much, it can be giving too little. But because of not establishing that sense of balance, you're either on one side or you're on the other. So by you checking in and developing that internal balance, which it may not be an easy thing to do, to have justice and to have strength, you can feel like sometimes your nature or your impulses want to do one thing and your willpower needs to do another thing over this. So you don't feel like you're completely taken over by just like old patterns and programming. So this is making a conscious effort to maintain a sense of balance and harmony, which really just means alignment with your values. So it means reflecting, like, what are my values? Especially because we have justice here. These are social values. And we have Three of Cups. So this is something that impacts your relationships. It has to do with either feeling like there was a lack of reciprocity, which can be like I'm either giving too much or I'm not receiving enough. So it's impacting that, and the stress that came with that, something feeling like it wasn't working properly, like there wasn't a proper flow. It's allowing yourself to enjoy things while not squeezing the life out of it. Reflecting, and once you reflect, being able to make progress because of that, but feeling like you're stuck until you actually reflect. Because I'm seeing something was stressing you out, had to do with a lack of flow within the reciprocity, within the exchange. And that's why you were feeling like there was a block. Resistance is what I'm hearing. But now, because of reflecting on this, it's allowing you to move into a space where you feel like things are reciprocal again, or you're establishing that now. Either way, you're moving forward. But with justice and strength, I'm seeing that one, you need to first take the time to pull back, to get quiet, so you can actually hear, listen to what's going on and how you're feeling. Then it allows you to know what feels like it's in alignment as far as what's balanced and harmonious versus what's not, and then doing what needs to be done in order to regulate and establish that. So it can feel sustainable. But having strength here, it may not be easy for you to develop this type of balance. This means that you may find it difficult for you to actually align with your values at times. Maybe you feel like it's overpowered by other things. Whether this be, let's just look, we have Libra here, right? So it can be like, instead of aligning with my own values, I try to align with other people's values to make them happy so they like me, rather than doing what I feel good with and what's genuinely aligned. Just an example. Or like we have Leo here, right? It can be like feeling like you're not getting enough attention, but it's because of not giving yourself enough attention, and maybe also not expressing yourself in the way that you want to either. You also may find it beneficial to develop some type of creative outlet as well. Also, too, having Libra and having strength here, it's very, very important for you to express what your boundaries are. Boundaries, interesting. To, set boundaries based off of that, if need be. But also to express your values, too. Because having Libra and Leo there, it can be like, well, when I take the time to reflect, I know what my values are, but to have like Leo here, it can be, and mixing with Libra, it can be like, I want to express that, or if I were feeling more confident or more self-assured, I would, but then like, what is that person gonna think then? So this is about needing to more fully express yourself too, maybe in a way that you had been holding back. But you could have been like, but I'm doing it for the sake of my relationships, but it's like, maybe something was happening that didn't feel okay. Again, like you're either on one side of this, you either felt like you were giving too much, or giving too much, not receiving enough, or on the other side of that, the opposite, one or the other, because it's a lack of balance. So there's like the duality, the polarity. The polarity can be like feeling like somebody wants things from you that you're like, feeling like your energy is being siphoned even. I think that these types of social interactions may be a place that's hard for you to get to work. There's something like mechanically that feels like an issue. Also too, like something that may give you more insight for those of you that want to go a layer deeper, look at this from like another plane of consciousness. You can look at things that have to do with your Venus. What's going on with your Venus? And you can also look at your 7th house too. You can also see too what's going on in your 11th house, because that can have to do with like your friendships as well. It can give you like a more layered insight. But I definitely start with your Venus and see like what's aspecting it and whatnot. Like what sign is it in, what house is it in, what's aspecting it, because that can tell you more about like where you struggle to sort of like maintain and advocate for your values. And why you may feel like you're not getting what you need because of that. I'm seeing the sign of Capricorn here. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. All of this, if you play this out in a way where you feel like you're effectively doing what needs to be done, it's going to allow you to reestablish a sense of harmony and things flowing in the way that you want to, where you may be feeling like that's lacking right now. Like this feels like you're pulling back because you're like, this doesn't feel harmonious to me and it doesn't feel sustainable to me. So that would be the motivation for you to go into this period of reflection. Just play by play, pull back and get quiet enough to hear what's going on, reflecting on my values and what will allow me to feel like there's a sense of balance and harmony, to enjoy that with myself, which then is going to allow me to enjoy that within my relationships too. Because you have to do it with yourself first, and then you're going to see that reflected in your relationships. So it's sort of like allowing things to carry over. So everything is just a repeated like reflection and reverberation and like, it's like an echo of what's going on here in your relationship with yourself. Because when you have that type of relationship with yourself, it's also going to transfer over to your relationships with others as well. And if that's not necessarily reflected or paralleled, what you're going to see is that those things are going to be tweaked in a way that will then readjust it to reflect that sense of balance that you feel internally. So always do it. It's going to be like most efficient and like really getting to the root of it when you develop that internally first in your like one-on-one with you and you. And then you'll see that reflected. So as much as it can be easier to maybe be like, I should tweak this thing outside of myself, if you do it internally, it will naturally be reflected then. It will like reverberate out from there. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light, and I hope to catch you guys next time.